The next skirt we'll look at is this A-line denim skirt. So there are a few things that we need to take into consideration when we're looking at the skirt. Number one, it is an A-line, it comes to the knee, and it has quite a large pocket on it. If we look at that pocket, probably the proportion, I'll just create a rectangle over it. The proportion of that pocket would be quite a large part of that skirt. So I'm copying that rectangle. So what we can see here is 1, 2, so it's almost half of that skirt. So it's a half and maybe another quarter, so probably just under half, so a quarter under half of the size of the skirt. So there's a lot. That's actually really good to use that and to work through understanding proportion, is to actually measure it against the rest of the skirt. The other thing that we're looking at here is quite a wide button stand. So again, the buttons are quite big and the button stand is wide. It's also separate, and we can see that because the binding at the bottom goes into the button stand, which means that it's a separate placket sewn on the front, at the center front. The waistband and the button stand are similar in width. So the button stand, if I just again drew a rectangle, just to check, we'll just zoom in. So that's the button stand. And if I rotated that rectangle, holding Shift and put it against the waistband, we can see that they're absolutely very, very similar in width. So this is something else we need to take into consideration. When we look at where that panel sits on the pocket, it probably sits just under halfway from the bottom of the pocket up. And then again, the distance between the button stand and the pocket over there and the distance over there. So all of these things are guidelines that can help you draw the skirt proportionately. So let's have a look at that. So we'll start off by actually just drawing the skirt from the center front. It's a waisted skirt, so I'm just going to start at the center front. I'll put a red or a blue, we learned to do that from last time, into the stroke, and I'll make it 2 points so you can see. So starting at the center front, click to the waistband, click. We're not putting any shape in. The A-line will be kind of fitted to the high hip, and then it will flare out and to the center front. Once again, we can shape the waist from the center front and shape the hem from the center front. What I can see here is I probably need to drag that down a little bit. Select both anchor points using your direct selection. Align those to the left or to the right or to the center and join them. We'll draw the placket now. So what I would do is probably go quite close in and probably need to do that placket a little wider. I would say what would suit this would be 5 millimeters. So you can see I've gone into the option panel. Under width, I'm going to make that 5 millimeters. And I think that's pretty good. That looks like the right size. And now I'm going to just drag this all the way down to the hem. I'm going to create my waistband. Select the waistband line, Command C, Command F. I'll change that color so you can see that it's another color. And going to my selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, I'm going to arrange and bring to front, Shift Command right bracket. Copy that, Alt, and move that up. And now I can go to my pen tool and join those two lines. So what I'm going to do is come to my direct selection tool and just drag that waistline in a little bit. Let's go over to the other side. Now this is where having smart guides on is a really good thing, because it's going to help you. So if I start drawing, I want to draw in the rest of this waistband so that I've got my overlap. So remember, /, click onto there, hold Shift, and you see when I'm lining up with the end of my placket, there's a green line there. If I hold Shift now, what will happen is I will be lined up exactly with the placket, and then if I come down to this anchor point holding Shift, I'm now lined up exactly with that anchor point there. I've got all the basic shapes and the start to that skirt drawn in. Select everything, default black and white, and just so that you can know that all of these are separate shapes, I'm going to just give them all different colors for the moment. Let's do that binding at the bottom. So direct selection, Control C, Control F, Command C, Command F. Using keyboard increment, I move that up. I don't want to have a fill in it. Remove the fill. Just move that down one. And I just need to make that the right size. So I can go into my scissor tool, which is underneath my pencil tool. So scissor, and I can come in here. When I rest my scissor tool on that line and it says intersect, I can just cut it, go to selection and delete the overhang. Now I will offset the path, and we'll make that 0.75. Preview. That's probably okay. And I'll put another color in there. And we'll come back to stitching lines in a moment. And now we're ready to do the pocket. So, pen tool. We said the pocket was almost half the size of the skirt. So probably I would say it would come down to about here. So I'm going to drag a guideline in just to help me there. I've got my pen tool selected, and I know that my pocket starts quite close over here, and then it goes at an angle, so quite a distance from there. Well, not quite a distance, but a little bit of an angle. And because it's at an angle, it will also come up a little bit over here. And usually there'll be a little bit of extra space there, up to there, and close that shape. So it's not looking perfect, that shape, so I can come in with my direct selection tool, and everything else about that shape is looking fine. That's better. And I'm fine with everything else there. So I'm going to just prepare all my stitch lines now. Let's bring that waistband to the front. So before I split this pocket, I'm going to put that double top stitching in. And I'm also going to put my stitching in there and stitching in there. So we'll start with this one because this is the easiest. I'm just selecting the line, Command C, Command F, and just nudging it over. It's a bit too far because it is an edge stitch. So I just hold Shift and drag it in a little. We'll change the colour of that stitch, remove the fill, and we'll do all our stitches deep blue for the moment. The waistband, object, path, offset path, we'll make that minus 0.75 to get an offset path on the inside. That's fine. We don't need that line over there. We'll do it the same colour as the other stitching, and we'll drag that line to the edge. And then the last thing is the pocket, object, path, offset path. That's okay. I'm going to eyedrop that line so it doesn't have a fill in it. I'm going to delete this line and this line, so I select that anchor point. Drag that to the top. And I'll just copy that line again. Command C, Command F. Eyedrop that line because that's a separate stitch line, and I'll just line it up at the bottom there and direct select. Drag that up to there. I also don't need this line here actually, because we don't see that. The pocket goes into the side seam. I'll just divide that. So we'll put that design line in there. So I'm going to just copy that line, Control C, Control F, Command C, Command F. Move that up, sort of just under halfway. I'm going to just let it poke out a little bit on the side there. And the same on the other side. Selection tool, select, select. We'll come into our shape builder tool and let's put another color in there. And we can see the shadow. Click onto there to divide that shape. And then we can just delete that. Direct selection because there's only an edge stitch on that line, as you can see there, or probably no stitch at all. We'll put a little edge stitch on there. Command C, Command F, and then just nudge that up. Eyedrop the blue